How to Write a Good Quality Chapter 4, Data Analysis and Findings, Quantitative Study. 1. Consider alternative explanations for the results, and discuss any limitations or weaknesses of the study that may have affected the findings. In writing Chapter 4 of a quantitative study, it is important to consider alternative explanations for the results and discuss any limitations or weaknesses of the study that may have affected the findings. This requires a critical analysis of the results and a thoughtful discussion of possible factors that may have influenced the results, but were not directly measured or controlled for in the study. It is also important to acknowledge any limitations of the study, such as small sample size or potential confounding variables, that may have affected the generalizability of the findings. To effectively address these issues, the researcher should 1. Identify any potential alternative explanations for the results that were not explicitly tested in the study. 2. Consider the extent to which these alternative explanations could account for the observed results, and discuss their plausibility. 3. Discuss any limitations of the study that may have impacted the validity or generalizability of the findings. 4. Consider the implications of these limitations for the interpretation of the results and the conclusions drawn from the study. 5. Discuss any future research that could address these limitations and provide further insight into the research questions. When writing Chapter 4, Data Analysis and Findings for a Quantitative Study, it is important to consider alternative explanations for the results and discuss any limitations or weaknesses of the study that may have affected the findings. To address alternative explanations, you should provide a thorough explanation of any variables that were not included in the study but may have influenced the results. You should also consider alternative statistical methods that could have been used to analyze the data and explain why they were not used. Additionally, it is important to address any limitations or weaknesses of the study. This could include limitations in the sample size or selection process, measurement tools used, or any constraints or biases that may have influenced the results. It is important to be transparent about these limitations and discuss their potential impact on the validity and generalizability of the findings. When discussing limitations, it is important to also discuss potential areas for future research and how the current study could be improved upon. This demonstrates a thorough understanding of the limitations and weaknesses of the study, and a commitment to furthering knowledge in the field. 1. Provide recommendations for future research based on the results of the current study. In the final section of Chapter 4, it is important to provide recommendations for future research that build on the findings of the current study. This should involve identifying the gaps in knowledge that were identified through the research and suggesting potential avenues for further investigation. It may also involve highlighting the limitations of the study and suggesting ways in which future research could address these limitations. Recommendations should be based on a careful analysis of the data and should be linked to the research questions and hypotheses that were developed earlier in the study. Additionally, it is important to discuss the potential practical implications of the findings and how they might be used to inform policy or practice in the relevant field. The recommendations should be clear, feasible, and well supported by the data and previous research in the field. 1. Conclude the chapter by summarizing the main findings and their implications for the research questions and hypotheses, and discuss how they contribute to the existing literature. To conclude the chapter, start by summarizing the main findings of the study. This can be done by reiterating the key results of the statistical analyses that were presented earlier in the chapter. Then, discuss the implications of these findings in relation to the research questions and hypotheses that were developed in earlier chapters of the dissertation. After discussing the implications of the findings, consider how they contribute to the existing literature. Discuss how your study builds upon previous research in the field, and what new insights it offers. Be sure to cite relevant literature to support your claims. Finally, offer some concluding remarks about the significance of the study as a whole. You may want to discuss any limitations or weaknesses of the study that were identified earlier in the chapter, and how they may affect the generalizability of the findings. Additionally, consider any practical applications of the findings and suggest areas for future research that may build on the current study. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel if this is helpful.